Welcome to the New Life Stories channel. We hope you will have fun with us. Enjoy watching.
It had been an awfully long day. First, Leslie worked 10 hours at work, then picked up her son from practice, then to the store. She got home at almost 9 o'clock. She was exhausted. More than anything, she wanted to fall on her bed and sleep for 10 hours. "Mom, what are we having for dinner?" Seem peeked into the kitchen and asked the next question. "Will you help me fill out the contour maps?" Leslie sighed and opened the refrigerator. Whether she liked it or not, her son's growing body demanded food. As her mom used to say, in any situation, there should be breadcrumbs in the cupboard and ravioli in the fridge. Good thing her husband was traveling, he wouldn't have settled for convenience foods. Paul was a trucker, and if he went on a trip, he wouldn't be home for 2 or 3 weeks at a time. Leslie always called him in the evenings. It was customary. At 10 o'clock at night, they would chat on the phone and share the day's events. But tonight the evening did not go according to plan. First, the ravioli escaped from the pot. Then the neighbor came over in the middle of the night. And then those unfortunate contour maps. Who invented them and why do school children need them? Anyway, she went to bed after midnight. Shit, I didn't call Paul. Okay, tomorrow, Leslie remembered, falling asleep. She woke up to the distinct feeling of someone pushing her. Squinting her eyes, she looked at the clock. It was 5 minutes to 3, which meant she could still sleep. But then her gaze fell on the cell phone lying on the nightstand. Its screen was glowing for some reason. Paul must have called. Leslie decided and picked up the phone. Suddenly the phone vibrated and the screen read "caller hidden." It's a good thing the sound is off, she thought, dropping the call. Otherwise she would have woken seen. But the persistent caller rang again, then another. Leslie sat on the bed, tucking her legs up, and stared sleepily at the screen as some unknown person persistently tried to call her. This was getting a little unsettling. What if it's Paul's phone and he's the one calling? When the phone rang for the 6th time, Leslie pressed the device to her ear. "Hello?" There was a static in the receiver, like the kind of noise a TV makes when there's no signal, and then came a muffled, barely audible male voice. Leslie. She was struck by lightning. It was a voice she would recognize from 1,000, no, from 1,000,000 voices, her father's voice. Jack had been buried last year. He and her father had always been very close and strikingly similar in appearance. "Dad, is that you?" She had only one thought in her head. How is this possible? She must be asleep and dreaming. "Leslie, call Paul, call. Daddy, Daddy." Leslie screamed like a madwoman, forgetting that her son was sleeping in the next room. But the phone was already ringing with short beeps. Her heart was beating like crazy and seemed to be about to jump out of her chest. Gradually she calmed down, settled back into bed, and seemed to fall asleep after all. Then she woke up again. How long had it been? The clock read 4. It was starting to get light outside the window. What was that? A dream? What did Dad say? To call Paul. Shit, I have to call Paul right now. She started frantically poking at the phone screen. "Hello, darling," Leslie began, trying to keep the anxious tremor out of her voice. "How are you? I couldn't sleep, so I thought I'd call you." She did not dare to tell her husband about the events of the night, in case he would think that his wife is out of her mind. "Did you wake me up? I'm sorry. I just missed you. Are you sure you're okay?" Paul confidently stated that he was absolutely fine, but now that she's woken him up, he'll pack up and drive his truck. Besides, it's light out. "I'll get farther." "Don't worry about it," he reassured Leslie. She felt guilty for disturbing her husband's sleep, but at the same time she knew that she was definitely doing the right thing. Finished talking, Leslie looked at the phone screen again. She wondered how many times this mysterious caller had tried to call her. She opened the call history, but there were no calls in the history. Since sleep had fled completely, Leslie went to brew herself some coffee. It would be time to leave for work in a couple of hours, but in the meantime she could have time to boil some chicken broth. Today was a short work day, so it would be possible to treat the family to a full meal, not convenience foods. But the story of my father's ghost was still on my mind. There was a strange uneasiness, as if she'd forgotten something. Something important. A phone call distracted her from her thoughts. "Husband," it popped up on the screen. With a light heart, Leslie picked up the phone. If he calls himself, then everything is fine. Alive and well. "Leslie, hi. Imagine what happened. Literally an hour ago, I left the motel driving myself, and now the guys are sending pictures. The motel burned down. The whole place is on fire. It's like something shorted out in the wiring. If you hadn't called me at 4 a.m., I'd be gone. Lena's legs gave out and she slumped on the stool. Thank God it was all right, she whispered in a trembling voice. Yeah, I'm shaking. Well, I'll get to the break. I'll get some more. Oh, and I just remembered it's Jack's anniversary. You probably remember that. Okay, bye. Leslie stared dumbfounded at the calendar hanging on the wall, March 5th. The anniversary. How could she have forgotten? Mom, why are you up so early? Sean came into the kitchen and looked at his mother in surprise. No reason. I couldn't sleep. How did you sleep? Didn't hear anything last night? His son usually slept very soundly, and even a dripping faucet could wake him up. No, nothing. Pressing the button on the kettle, Sean answered. Why? Did I oversleep something? I dreamt about my grandfather today before I woke up. Grandfather? What about him? No, he just gave me a hug and told me everything was gonna be okay, and then I woke up. Leslie looked out the window thoughtfully. It was dawning outside. It turns out that our loved ones, even after their death, look after their relatives. Miracles happen.